The Fellowship of the Ring. 9 companions brought together to protect Frodo and the One Ring, united by a singular mission: to save Middle-earth from the growing shadow of Sauron. But why didn't they stay together? Why did such a carefully chosen group ultimately break apart? Let's look at this today.
Build me an army worthy of Mordor.
You shall be the Fellowship of the Ring.
Right. Where are we going?
The Fellowship of the Ring wasn't just a group of 9 adventurers, it was a symbol of unity in a fractured Middle-earth. It was formed during the Council of Elrond. Its members represented the free peoples of Middle-earth. You had men, elves, dwarves, hobbits, and even a wizard represented. They were bound together by one purpose: to ensure the destruction of the One Ring in the fires of Mount Doom. Yet, even from the start, the Fellowship was fragile. Each member came with their own history, motivations, and in some cases, prejudices. Boromir's loyalty to Gondor clashed with the idea of destroying the ring. Legolas and Gimli carried the baggage of centuries of mistrust between elves and dwarves. And Frodo, the ring-bearer, faced a growing burden that none of the others could fully understand. Despite these challenges, the Fellowship embarked on its journey, but their unity was always going to be tested, not just by external threats, but by the weight of the task itself. Even before the Fellowship reached Amon Hen, the cracks in their unity had already started to show. The seeds of division were sown not by malice, but by the challenges they faced along the way and the temptations of the One Ring itself. The first true test of the Fellowship's resolve came on the snowy slopes of Caradhras. The Fellowship attempted to pass over the misty mountains, but the elements and perhaps the will of the mountain itself forced them to turn back. This failure sowed doubt among the group. Who would lead them now? Gandalf made the fateful decision to pass through the mines of Moria here, a dangerous and dark route that not all agreed with, especially Gimli, whose ancestors once ruled there. Within Moria, the Fellowship's vulnerabilities were laid bare. The growing dangers culminated in the loss of Gandalf, their guide and protector, who fell into shadow while battling the Balrog. His absence left the Fellowship leaderless and emotionally shaken, marking somewhat of a turning point in their journey. The Fellowship sought refuge in Lothlorien next, but even in this sanctuary, the weight of the ring hung heavy over the group. Galadriel, the Lady of the Wood, offered each of them gifts, but her interactions with Frodo and Boromir highlighted the ring's influence. For Frodo, Galadriel confirmed the growing fear that the ring was his burden alone. For Boromir, the ring represented power that could save his people, but at a great cost. The cracks widened as Boromir began to obsess over the idea of using the ring, hinting at the internal conflict that would soon come to head. At this point, the Fellowship was still together, but the strain was becoming evident. The physical dangers and the emotional toll of the journey tested their unity, and the temptation of the ring began to divide them further. The breaking of the Fellowship did reach its climax at Amon Hen, where the weight of their journey, the temptations of the ring, and the threat of pursuit collided in a tragic series of events. By the time the Fellowship reached the borders of Gondor, Frodo had begun to realize the true danger of the ring, not just to himself, but to his companions also. The ring's corrupting power was becoming evident, particularly in Boromir, whose obsession had grown to the point of desperation. Frodo, already burdened by the ring's influence, understood that its presence endangered the entire Fellowship. This led Frodo to a pivotal decision: to separate himself from the group and continue the journey to Mordor alone. It was an act of both courage and self-preservation, but it wasn't an easy choice for him, or for the Fellowship. Boromir's attempted betrayal marked the breaking point. In a moment of weakness, he tried to take the ring from Frodo, driven by his belief that it could save Gondor. His actions confirmed Frodo's fears and solidified his decision to leave. But Boromir's story didn't end in failure. In the battle that followed, we must remember, he sacrificed himself to protect Merry and Pippin from Saruman's Uruk-hai. His final moments were a redemption, proving his loyalty to the Fellowship and his people. His death, however, left the group fractured and directionless. In the aftermath of Frodo's departure and Boromir's death, Aragorn faced a critical moment of leadership. Rather than pursuing Frodo, he chose to respect the Ringbearer's decision and focus on the safety of Merry and Pippin. This choice marked Aragorn's transition from a wandering ranger to a leader worthy of the throne of Gondor. As the Fellowship scattered, each member found themselves on a new path. Frodo and Sam set out alone for Mordor, bound by trust and friendship. Aragorn, Legolas and Gimli pursued the Uruk-hai to rescue Merry and Pippin, embarking on a journey that would draw them into the Greater War. And then of course Merry and Pippin themselves, captured by the Uruk-hai, were carried toward a fate that would ultimately lead them to Treebeard and the Ents. The breaking of the Fellowship was not just a physical separation, it was the start of individual journeys that would shape the fate of the war. At first glance, the breaking of the Fellowship may seem like a failure. Their unity dissolved, and the carefully crafted group was scattered. But in truth, this division was not only inevitable, it was essential. Each member's separation allowed them to fulfill their unique roles in the larger battle for Middle-earth. Frodo's decision to journey alone, with only Sam at his side, was a necessary step. The power of the ring was already influenced in the Fellowship, creating that discord, creating that temptation. By leaving, Frodo ensured that the ring's corrupting power wouldn't jeopardize the group further. And for Sam, the separation elevated him from a loyal companion to Frodo to his protector and moral compass. Their bond deepened in the isolation of their journey, and Sam's unwavering loyalty became the key to Frodo's survival. Without the others, the two hobbits were forced to rely entirely on each other, forming a partnership that ultimately carried the ring all that way to Mount Doom. If you then look at the trio of Aragorn, Legolas and Gimli, they found purpose in their pursuit of Merry and Pippin. This solidified their bond, transforming them from disparate warriors into a united force, the Three Hunters. Aragorn's leadership grew as he took on the mantle of responsibility, a key step in his path to becoming the King of Gondor. Legolas and Gimli, meanwhile, overcame centuries of animosity between the elves and the dwarves. Their friendship symbolized the possibility of unity among the Free Peoples, a crucial element in the eventual victory over Sauron. Separated from the Fellowship and captured by Saruman's Uruk-hai, Merry and Pippin's journey could have ended in despair. Instead, their captivity led them to Fangorn Forest, where they formed that alliance I mentioned before with Treebeard and the Ents. This unlikely partnership played such a crucial role in the war. The Ents' attack on Isengard really crippled Saruman's forces and shifted the balance of power in favour of the Free Peoples. In the lands of Rohan specifically. Merry and Pippin's courage and resourcefulness proved that even the smallest members of the Fellowship really had a significant part to play. And then of course we must mention Boromir once again. His tragic fall and redemption were instrumental in shaping the remaining members of the Fellowship. His sacrifice inspired Aragorn to embrace that role as a leader and remind the others of the stakes of their mission. In death, Boromir became a symbol for what was at risk: the people of Middle-earth and the kingdoms they sought to protect. The breaking of the Fellowship allowed each member to step into their own destiny. It was no longer about 9 companions working together. It was about 9 individuals, each contributing in their own way to the defeat of Sauron. Their separation turned out to be their strength, enabling them to fight battles on multiple fronts, and ultimately ensuring the success of their mission. And so, there we have it. The breaking of the Fellowship wasn't a failure, it was a turning point. By splitting apart, each member was able to fulfill a unique role in the fight against Sauron. Frodo and Sam's bond carried the ring closer to its destruction, while Aragorn, Legolas and Gimli grew into a united force, with Aragorn embracing his destiny. and Merry and Pippin's courage rallied the Ents, striking a decisive blow against Saruman, while Boromir's sacrifice became that powerful reminder of the stakes and danger of the ring's corruption. Rather than a sign of weakness, the breaking of the Fellowship was a necessary evolution. It allowed each individual to rise to their own challenge, and together ensure the survival of Middle-earth. But now it is your turn. Do you think the Fellowship had to break apart, or could they have succeeded by staying together? Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this in the comment section down below. And along with this, if you would like to support the channel in other ways, please consider our Patreon. You can't always rely on YouTube itself, so this extra support will really help the channel stay strong and keep us getting that content out for you. But with that, thank you for spending just some of your time with me today, and I will see you next time on The Broken Sword.